Doechii, the industry plant. See, now back in my day, I'm a 67-year-old man. Back in my day, an industry plant had some types of connections, some secret connections. Usually it was nepotism, right? Like they knew they had an uncle, a brother, a sister, whoever that had connections in the music industry, or maybe they were in the movie industry, so they could kind of make those connections to the music industry just kind of naturally ish. Or they have like a family member, like maybe their parents make a ton of money so they can just kickstart their career by throwing a bunch of money at it. But it didn't just mean that a label was pushing an artist super hard. Like the last industry plant I remember hearing about all the time was Sabrina Carpenter, right? And I don't know if she is or is not, but I do know that she was a child actor. And all of these child actors and actresses attempt to have a music career. Now, she was successful in it, but not everyone ends up being Ariana Grande or Drake. A lot of them don't have successful music careers, but when they do, obviously the nepotism and the industry plant stuff starts coming out. But what was crazy with Sabrina Carpenter is that I was hearing her stuff everywhere. Like not just TikTok, but like in public, at grocery stores. They were playing it in clubs. She had a Dunkin' Donuts commercial where you would hear about Sabrina Carpenter. But that isn't happening with Doechii, which is why I'm very confused here. Here's the thing, right? Most of the time when I hear something about Doechii, it is from somebody that does not like her. Which I don't know if I've perfected my algorithm so that that's the case, but it is kind of wild. For every one TikTok that I come across that maybe throws anxiety in the background, the Doechii song that everyone hates, there's at least 20 other videos like, isn't anxiety just the worst? And I don't do the whole any publicity is good publicity thing, because normally when people say that, they've got like bodies in their closet. You know what I'm saying? They got some priors that they're going through. So, they're trying to remain cool and make it seem like they don't care about the fact that they've got like some pending court cases that are gonna make them serve some time. It's usually just that's usually the case when somebody whips out the any publicity and the good publicity. It's just an excuse for them to act awful. And yes, I am aware that she was mean to her assistants at the Met Gala, but quite frankly, most of the dudes that I've seen who have been using that as an argument are not Met Gala people. Like, it is crazy how Doechii has caused so many people that never cared about the Met Gala or the Grammys to all of a sudden care about the Grammys. Like, there's people that I know who have never spoken about the Grammys or the Met Gala before, who all of a sudden this past year have become professionals. Like the Grammys, to me, it always felt like the Grammys, it's not like they always get it wrong, but when they get it right, it feels more like they're finally catching up, less than they finally learned, Like, I feel like the Grammys, they give out rewards just to kind of pretend like they're on top of things as far as like music and what's popular. But I've never really personally cared. And a lot of these artists don't even care about the Grammys. Like, it kind of blows my mind how many Drake fans I've seen come out very upset about the fact that they think that Doechii's Grammy win was forced and it's all blah, blah, blah. It's all industry plant stuff. But these are the same people that say the Grammys don't matter because, I mean, for the past year, Kendrick fans have been arguing about how Kendrick has so many Grammys and Drake does not. And they're like, well, Grammys don't mean shit. Well, if Grammys don't mean shit, then why do we care if Doechii won one or not? You understand what I'm saying? It's like crazy how much I hear about Doechii solely from people that do not like Doechii. And Doechii's not discussed. Like, I remember I was watching, what's Lil Bill's backup channel? I can't remember exactly what his backup channel is, but I'm subbed to it. And he was talking about how you will not hear anybody at like a barbershop talking about Doechii, which is just factually true. You hardly ever hear, and that goes both ways, like praising or just trashing. It just doesn't happen. And when I do like come across a Doechii fan, the way I find out is I catch them listening to Doechii. It's not like they're approaching me like, bro, you won't believe this underground art. You probably never put, well, a lot of my friends, they're just going to know that I'm going to be caught up on anybody that's on TDE. And that's another thing, right? These labels pushing their artists. TDE, I don't know if you know, Kendrick came from TDE. SZA is still currently in TDE. But within TDE, you also have a lot of other really talented artists, but Kendrick and SZA are like the biggest, you could say, from TDE. TDE has a lot of influence, just in general, in the industry. I know that that seems like hypocritical because there's a lot of like talk from TDE about disgust towards the industry, but I think that you can be a label that participates in the music industry, but doesn't, you don't, you're not as inclined to keep things as traditional as they were, right? Like TDE, they got pretty lucky because of the fact that their artists are all very authentic, because typically labels don't like authentic artists. At least that's not the way it's been for the longest time. They want to cover you up and they want you to, do whatever, but they want you to look a certain way. They want you to behave a certain way. They want to bring in producers that produce the albums for you and just try to make the best formulaic album that they can. So it's cool to have labels like TDE where there's a bit more variety in the work that's being put out, because that's how you get a Kendrick Lamar, that's how you get a SZA who blows up to like these crazy, these crazy levels without doing like following the formula. But anyways, TDE has a lot of influence at this point. I guess you could say as like an outsider to the typical industry like politics. And obviously they're going to participate in it because you kind of have to at this point. But pretending like Doechii is this industry plant, like she's completely untalented. And she's only like, you do realize that it would make no sense. Like if you could give me an example of like finding out that her parents were actually rich and they had an emerald mine somewhere and they've paid millions to get her to have this career, then by all means. But the first time I heard Doechii was on Isaiah Rashad's album a few years back. And I didn't really think too much of it then. I mean, I liked the song, but I didn't really think too much of it then. It's kind of crazy to see just how much that Grammy win has just kind of pushed things. And of course, Anxiety has blown up. It samples somebody that I used to know. Of course it has. Do I wish that Catfish blew up a little bit more? Maybe. But they're all like, the whole album in general is blowing up. I feel like we've gotten to it. It's kind of like how everyone labels anybody that likes an artist more than another artist as a glazer. Like I can't tell you how many times, and I see it going both ways. Like I'll see somebody just kind of like enjoy Kendrick, or somebody say they prefer Drake, and people are like, man, you're glazing. Like to me, I'd rather argue on like this. Like if somebody wanted to argue about the diss tracks and the beef and what I thought was better, like I'd argue why I thought one was better. But glazing, because somebody has a preference, I don't know. I feel like glazing would be like, it's the best song I've ever heard in my life. There'd never be another song that comes even close. Like that's when you start to get into glazing territory. Nowadays, people are just throwing out glazing when it's like, I actually prefer Kendrick's album over Drake's. Wow, Glazer, dude. Wow, it's ass. It's ass. Kendrick Glaze in 2025. It's like, can y'all go outside? I guess this is the best way I could put it. I don't know. I'm just yapping at this point. I always mean for these videos to be 5 minutes, but I don't think that Doechii is an industry plant. I think that her label is pushing her pretty hard. But at the same time, I feel like what the people that are pushing her the hardest are the people that don't like her, because, dear God, it is unavoidable. Like, I have to imagine that there's people that are listening to Doechii out of spite to be like, you know what? That sounds like something that I would do. Now, I don't do that anymore. I'm too old for that. As I said, I'm a 67-year-old man. But I mean, it's just kind of like everyone makes excuses for everything. It's kind of like when I see an artist that's not getting very many plays and people are like, the industry's too afraid to let these guys be popular. And it's like, sometimes it's not really that. Like, especially if the artist isn't really saying anything super crazy. It'd be one thing if they're like espousing some government secrets. Sometimes they're just like, sometimes I swear, you'll see an artist that's like, we should stop shooting each other. And people will be like, nah, this is too underground of a message. And it's like, that's not an underground message. I don't know what to tell you. That's not like that's like universally, it is what it is. This isn't the 90s. This isn't record labels in the 90s trying to sign rap artists and getting them to, make the most aggressive music they possibly could in order to portray a certain image. But I've seen these videos on YouTube of dudes that, they're getting like 1,000 views or whatever, and you have to start somewhere. This isn't knocking the people that are in the journey period of doing what they need to do. But like, oh man, these guys haven't blown up because the industry doesn't want to hear it. And it's like, no, the people don't want, like, if enough people want to hear it, they'll blow up. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we took the whole industry making everybody and we've applied it to every artist when we live in an internet age, and there have been people that have blown up solely off the fact that they push their own brand super hard. We do live in an era where you can do that, but it's going to take a lot of work because, I mean, you're fighting a label. You're just one guy. You're not really fighting a label, but you're competing with label artists, and they have a lot of money to put behind their artist, and it's annoying. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you get to just make excuses for you not being as successful. You're just not as successful because people do not want to listen to you. It's the same reason why I don't have 10 million views on my videos. Because 10 million people don't want to watch them. Now I could say that I haven't quite hit the algorithm correctly, for sure. I could say that. Those artists that only have 1,000 views, they can say the same thing as well. They can say, we haven't quite found our group. But this whole like, the industry. So like, imagine if I was like, nah, YouTube don't want me to blow up because I speak the truth too much. That's why I don't have a big channel, because I speak the truth too much. That'd be fucking stupid. It's because people don't watch my videos.